I'm Mary Himes. I'm the president of the Scriba Historical Society. Tonight we have Lenny and Becky. They're going to tell us the history of Scriba Meats, and it has a very strong history here in the town of Scriba. And they've blessed us by agreeing to come and do this presentation for us. So I'd like you to welcome Len and Becky.
All right. Is your pony?
I don't have to use a microphone. It's good for the recording.
Is it on?
Yep.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Where?
Perfect ringtone went off. Huh?
Somebody's ringtone.
Oh, I was going to say I turned mine off.
Pressure picture.
I think it was that clock on the wall.
Oh, is it his black?
Yeah.
Hello? Can you people hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. All right. So, I'm not really good at public speaking. I'm better with puppets. All right, so we'll start within the early 80s. Malcolm Fisher was the, well, everybody kind of knew him as Smokey. And he owned the Scriba Town Tavern. And back then, he wound up building our little 30 by 30 building for his wife to run as a pizza shop. Shortly after that, there were some situations that led to his divorce. Oh, so we're familiar with that. Okay. I wasn't sure if everybody was or not. But anyways, the lady wasn't a very good shot after 7 bullets, but anyways. The building was then leased to a few more gentlemen through the course of 6 years or so as a pizza shop. One was Bobby Gardner, and then the next one actually was Bobby Rice. And those businesses, unfortunately, were unsuccessful after a short time. It sat vacant till my dad, who was basically a farm butcher and was taught to do that down on 51A. What was his name?
Sheldon.
All right, Bus Sheldon. All right, well, apparently all the kids in the neighborhood learned how to cut meat from one man. And my father who did that, and then he kind of opened up a little side business and at my house in the back of the garage, and that's where we learned how to cut cows and pigs and deer and all kinds of neat stuff. He always dreamed of having a meat store. He wanted a retail meat store, and he had a choice to make. Buy the 104 property from Smokey, or buy a piece of property that was up for sale at the time on Route 3, just outside of Fulton and Valney. Smokey wanted to lease to my father, and I believe I can quote all the way back. Dad looked at him and said, "I don't lease anything, I buy it." We all know what happened, apparently. He bought it. My family and extended family then set forth remodeling this little building into a meat store. July 10th, 1989 was the grand opening, consisting of some old used meat viewing cases and some used equipment. and one old register. In fact, if any of you folks remember the old Kimball's store on the corner of Silk and Mount Pleasant or 45, our pork showcase originally came from that store, way up in a loft. And if I can remember, it's probably part of my back pain now, but we got it down, remodeled it, fixed it up. Some other stuff came from places I really don't remember. I remember shopping around in Syracuse trying to find anything we could afford. As Becky will talk about shortly, we had no idea what we were doing. I mean, farm butcher and farm cutting is a lot different than retail and retail cutting. To this day, 36 and a half years later, I still have no idea why Scriba Meats is even still here. The one thing we had going for us was through the years, my father had become good friends with the owner of Davis Brothers, Dick Davis. Dick had fronted us product to pay back when we were able. If it wasn't for him, we really would not be here right now. We thanked him for believing in us, and eventually we paid him back. So, now would be a good time for everybody. We are not related to Davis Brothers. We are good friends. We know them, they know us. But we are off on a different Davis clan. There's actually 3 or 4 in Scriba that are Davis clans that are not related to the other set of people. So that takes care of that and everybody who maybe had thought otherwise. Through the years of additions after additions after additions, I personally think the store is just the right size. Well, maybe a little bigger might help. But you know what they say about going too big, it can destroy a business. So we'll probably just suck it up and squeeze everything that we have future plans for in that thing. As humans, we tend to I'm sorry, let's start over. New paragraph. As humans, we tend to be hardwired to remember bad or negative memories more than positive memories. Through the years, I feel like I kind of remember equal, good and bad. I feel so good to hear compliments every day from our valued customers, and there's things that happen, we try to take care of it as much as we can, and because we're not perfect. I'm certainly not. Go ahead. Any of the past, current, employees want to say anything about that? One situation really sticks in my mind. It was a few years back. I don't know why I'm staring at you. So, a little history before finishing the compliment memory. The last owners of the original Woody's gas station was John and Dorothy Taylor. Their predecessors being the Woodland family. Before Dorothy had passed, she was in the store and she caught me stocking some shelves. We talked a little and she turned and she gave me a hug. Just sporadically, I'm like going, what? And she looked at me and she said, you know what? She goes, in many ways, Scriba Meats has become the new Woody's. And someplace to go because nobody wants to run to the city for necessities and decent priced items. Because, well, it's Dorothy, she said, because that's a pain in the ass. I promised her we would do our best. Becky, myself, and our staff try hard absolutely every day. And I could have kept on going, but I read my sister's material, and I am so overly impressed with what Becky wrote that I just want to give up now so I can hear her read her stuff. Because I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Wow, that's so cool. So, that's me. You want me to do that now? Okay, I wasn't sure because, you know, there's a lot of family and employees, but
Beginning of.
can
you stand up?
Stand out, Samuel, but no, but her father can.
well, anyways, can you stand up?
Me?
I like that. Look at that. You got the hat, the jacket.
I got the jacket.
Yeah, turn around. But I do have to say, if it wasn't for Mom doing the paperwork back then, thank God.
Paperwork.
Because paperwork and taking care of the money, because who knows what happened to that if Dad had it.
That wasn't funny. But to be true.
Oh, shorter. So I'm not as good at public speaking as obviously Lenny is. And if anybody's seen his videos on Facebook and the ads he's done, they definitely know he's a good actor and he is a good public speaker. I have a little anxiety doing this, so as I was standing over there, I was doing what they say to do, and they say picture everybody naked. But that was actually very disturbing, so I decided to wipe that idea out. So I'll probably just have to read mine. He can improvise a lot. I'm not much of an improviser, so I'll just have to read what I wrote.
Okay.
So I wanted to tell you about my personal journey at Scriba Meats. I was only 15 when we opened. My brother and myself grew up cutting meat for my father. We would process farmers' animals, and they would get their meat back wrapped in freezer paper. Nobody saw the steak or the chop until it was ready to be cooked. So at 15, I was trying to figure out what retailing meant. So by asking our salespeople, I quickly figured out retailing meant it had to look pretty so people would want to buy it. I never looked inside a meat showcase before. Our meat was always in the freezer in the basement. So Lenny and I took off to PNC, Groffalo's, Bosco's to check things out. After looking at their showcases, we had a plan in place on how to retail meat.
Slow it down.
Okay. I go too fast. Yeah. So now on to the next hurdle. How do you reconcile a cash register? And what does reconcile even mean? I was 15.
Yeah.
So luckily my mother was handling the money and books back then. So we were safe on that issue. When we opened, we were just selling beef and pork, chicken, deli, and literally ketchup and mustard were the only things on the shelf. I believe there's a picture up there of the ketchup and mustard. It didn't take too long for us to want more groceries. The ketchup and the mustard were getting very lonely. We also wanted to sell products like frozen products in our freezer case, like French fries, mozzarella sticks, chicken patties, items like that. Wanted to expand. So we needed an addition. That was the first of many additions, as my brother had stressed, and I stressed the word many, many, many additions. So for groceries, we reached out to companies, but nobody wanted to come see us. They didn't see us as worthy of, selling groceries. I walked into this little place and, just saw some old meat cases and two teenage kids. So we decided to buy a van. We headed to Trippy's Cash and Carry up on Hiawatha Boulevard. My mother and myself made monthly trips to stock up until finally a salesman of a small grocery wholesale company stopped in. They were out of Clayton, New York. The salesman was the owner's son. He wasn't much older than us. And we became very good friends, and we're still friends today. We found a wholesale company that sold food service items they were willing to sell to us. They had helped us out with our freezer case expansion. I was in charge of that inventory. Luckily, a very nice saleswoman helped me learn percentages, marketing, and many more aspects of running the business. I was still in high school then. I used the payphone on my lunch break to call in my order. For the young people in the audience, I used a payphone. There was no cell phones. And so,
How much did it cost?
it was a quarter. I do remember when it was 10 cents. I'm old enough to remember 10 cents.
Barely.
Probably barely, yeah, but I do remember 10 cents. She decided to leave the company and open a flower shop. Years later, after I was married, my husband and I were at Eddie's in Sylvan Beach for lunch. From across the room, this waitress come running, yelling my name. It was her. Unfortunately, her business never made it. So she was a waitress, and she continued to tell me that she had never been so impressed by two young people as she was with us. That to this day, we will stick in our memories forever. That's probably my fondest moment. So now back to my age now. So now at 18, I was soon approaching graduation. I had a big decision to make, stay at the store or go to college for a different career. I really loved cutting meat, so I told my mother I wanted to stay at the store. But I needed to know that I would have a future in Scriba Meats, not just work for them. My mother and father and I decided that I would go to college, get my business degree, and then we would go from there. After I got my business degree, I started taking over the finances, learning from my mother and bothering our accountant quite often. It was quite often. But he didn't mind. He was very proud of me. And before he passed away, he told me how proud he was. As I was learning certain aspects about running the business, Lenny was learning just as much other information that was needed for us to complement each other for us to be successful. He was learning how to do compressor work, how to fix our own breakdowns, how to do construction, stuff that we didn't need to hire out that we could do ourselves. So after many more years went by, more additions, products were added, Lenny got married, had children, I got married. Our parents at that point decided that we had proven enough. They turned Scriba Meats into a corporation, giving me and Lenny the majority of the shares. And that was in 2005. Over the years, we had many good times, bad times, many laughs, many tears. And most of our devoted customers, Oh, that's what it was. Sorry. So we had many laughs, many tears, as some of our most devoted customers had passed away or had devastating tragedies. We have seen children being born, those children having children, and soon enough, they will be having children. So we couldn't have made it without the support of our community and the support of every customer and every employee over the last 36 years. We thank everybody so very much. So I guess I'll just say that we do have an album back there that I put together. So if everybody wanted to look at that, you're welcome to get up and look at that. And I think my mother would like to say something. Obviously, she can't stand up.
Okay, you'll be like that. Everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we are very proud of the kids. We never thought in terms of popularity. that the store would go this far. I'm sorry, my throat is not very good. That the store would never go this far. And when Becky told me that the Scriba wanted to showcase this, it's like, what, really? So, yes, we're very proud of them, very proud of our employees and all of our family also that has helped to make Scriba Meats this popular. I could tell you a few stories otherwise, but the kids didn't start back all the way like at home. They did start very young, and I guess we didn't know exactly what we were doing with that part. But I walked out one time, Lenny was 8 years old, and this is the meat room that's in the back of our garage now. And I walk out, and Lenny was 8 years old, and I see a knife in his hand. Well, I kind of was not happy with that at that point. But anyways, I had no say about it. So that was okay. And then another time, at the age of 12, I went out to say something to them. And I opened the door and I literally froze. My husband had Lenny at the saw. Well, I forgot what I was going to say. And I closed the door and I went back in the house and cried. So then I became nursemaid to a bunch of family meat cutters. And they do have a few scars. But as you can tell, they've made it through. The kids were very young at working, and we thought, okay, these kids really are working. They deserve this money, but they were too young for the money they were earning. So we decided that we would start savings accounts for them, and they were only allowed to have so much of the money themselves. Well, so later on, as it went on in years, we were very proud. They ended up paying cash for their own first vehicles. And we went to our dealer that we always went to, and we said, you know, Becky's going to college now. We want her to have a liable vehicle to go back and forth because she wanted to go to OCC. So he says, I just got the thing for you. He says, I just got these in. So we said, okay. Well, what they were is that they were rental cars, and so if everybody else knows, they just go to 10,000 miles. So we thought that was great. Becky decided that that was good for her. Well, he had two of them there. So it's like, okay, we could use a new vehicle. So, okay, so we checked that out. So then I look over to one side of it and I see this vehicle upon their display. And I said to him, I said, well, what's that over there? And they said, well, it's a car, just a car. It was standard. There wasn't even a radio in it, but it was only $6,000. Lenny had had a couple clunkers in the meantime, which did not keep going. So I called him and I said, hey, you've got $6,000 in your account. How would you like to buy a brand new vehicle? So he said yes, and so we did. So what happened nowadays is totally unheard of. We ended up with 3 almost brand new vehicles for under $20,000. Wow. And that is definitely unheard of at this day and age. So we were very proud that they had saved their money and that they had bought their own vehicles. So then, actually, just the other thing I wanted to say, and where they got their history from, was at home. In the back room with their father teaching them what to do, and which they have learned very well. And so we, of course, were doing deer at our house. And the time that sticks out in my mind is, I think it was before we had the store, when Thanksgiving was 80 degrees. Wasn't that before we had the store, kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Was 80 degrees. And that was also deer season. At that point, we had grown, excuse me, at the house, and we had three freezers. We had 2 in the meat room, or coolers, and another cooler outside, which they made out of a hopper. Well, little did we know what was going to happen at that point. All of a sudden, the hunters start coming in. They came from their camps just to bring us the deer because it was too hot to keep them at their camp. We filled both coolers inside. We ended up filling the other cooler outside. We had a traffic jam. We had people up and down the road, the hunters waiting to get in. I'm in my beauty shop, which is on my house. I'm trying to do my business. He's now out there trying to do his business. We got all of these people, and it's like, what are we gonna do? We can't do this. So the one thing that we did, it was just, of course, before school let out. So we called the school and we told them that we had a family emergency. And I got Becky out and the nephew. And so at that point, then it's like, okay, we still can't do just this one room. What are we gonna do? So everybody got with it, took the garage. We made up another station in the garage. And we loved it because it turned out to be all girls. And if you could have seen the guys' eyes when they came in with the hunters to see an all-girls team cutting up these yucky old deer, you know, we thought that was great. You know, we had a good time doing that. Becky was even on the saw.
Wow.
Yeah, she was on the saw at that point. We had some of the others that didn't mind getting their hands dirty on the cutting table. Yes. Lenny's girlfriend at the time is sitting here, yes. We had 14 people working for us at that point. His sister with a couple of the kids, his brother with the rest of the family, us and some friends. And we ended up with 14 people working. And if you don't think that was kind of history, and we thought we did 800 deer that year. And we said, this is not going to happen again, and it never did.
Wow.
But we still did between 400 and 600 deer. And then we started the store, and that went along just so far, and finally the kids said, Mom, you gotta tell Dad we can't do this anymore. The store's too busy. We can't come and help anymore. So Dad had to find his own crew. So we did. So I just wanted to share that the kids did wonderful before they even started the store. And they did know what they were doing also, even though Becky said a few things there.
Yeah,
They learned very fast.
yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I don't, Dad, did you want to say something?
There you go. Also, I'd like to say, if everybody understands, I love my 2 children. They're the best of my life. And I'll always love them. And I love the people that help me. The starts over there, all the people that's helped me in the time that I need it. So thank you very much. I love yous all.
I thought maybe you'd tell the story about how I got my hands on the meat grinder when I was 4.
In there too, I thought about it, but no, I'm not.
Yeah, you would have went to jail nowadays.
Yeah, there wasn't much DSS back then.
See your hands.
You know.
This one, it got this one real bad, but I mean, I was only 4. My fingers were like this big on a 4-year-old kid. So then they put me, and it wasn't my fault. I was on a crate or something, and it started to fall. So then I reached up to hang on, and my hands went in and caught the auger. So then I started rapping. I don't know when I was.
The other was all helping, basically. So
Yeah.
how in the hell are you gonna tell a little kid that they can't do something?
Right, I wanted to work. So then I started wrapping in paper, and then he introduced the saran machine. My uncle taught me how to wrap when I was 7. I remember a story. It was deer season, and I went up to my room to do homework, and it was like 10 o'clock. My dad comes up, and he's like, I think I was probably about 9. And he goes, I got this guy here. I just ground up about 50 pounds of meat for him. He wants it wrapped. He goes, you're the fastest wrapper I know. Can you please just come down and wrap it? It'll take me forever. So I'm like, all right. So I come down. I'm like 9 years old. So I get on it, do my thing. Of course, little kids pick things up really quickly. So I was really fast at it. And here's this guy just staring at me like, this little kid, and it's a girl, like wrapping up this meat.
It's a girl. That's the worst part of it.
Yeah. So.
They didn't say that.
Yeah, so I started picking up a knife from there, and then I think Lenny taught me how to cut a deer when I was 14.
I'm very happy that you mentioned your uncle. His name was Bob, my father's brother, and he's no longer with us, but he was one of the originals that helped to remodel the store and was there to open it. He also worked at Nestle's at the time. Dad worked at Sealright, Hutamaki, and basically, everything kind of weaned out, and it was left to me and Becky. So yes, I do want to pay homage to Bob. Absolutely.
I have a question.
Okay.
What did you hear about the sign?
Oh, the sign I told you about. She's talking about the sign. So Jackie reminded me that we had a sign out front, the one with the big letters on it, and it originally said Lebanon Bologna. Well, Eric Grimshaw at the time owned Scriba Town Inn, and him and Jody Gigon, which were in the water department in Scriba here for a while. So they're drinking, they get this good idea, must be there staring, making words out of our letters. So they grab a ladder, they go up, and the next morning we pull in, and it says, Sale, big boobies.
$9.99 a pound.
Yeah, $9.99.
Hey, I'll take $50 for it.
So
We left it there for.
yeah, we left it there for a couple days. And then I was telling the other story a week or so ago. The pork chop one is hilarious.
Oh, my Lord.
So we were.
Yeah.
So this lady, older lady, that used to buy meat from us, she comes walking in. She's got a jacket on. She comes up to the counter and she starts waving a cooked pork chop. And it's not even in anything. It's not in a bag, in a container, not wrapped up. It's a cooked pork chop in her pocket.
She pulled a cooked pork chop out of her coat pocket.
And she says, this is a rib cut pork chop. I wanted a center cut pork chop. So we took the pork chop and gave her a center cut pork chop. Yeah, no, we wrapped it.
Before she cut
I will bring you back a cooked pork chop in your pocket.
Not even wrapped up.
know it before she cooked it.
So floored. It's one of those stories that you can't make out. Not even wrapped up in a a Millbrook
Sister was always right? Yeah.
bread bag at the times. Just pork chop in your pocket.
And then I think one of the pictures coming up soon, I think, is the parking lot when we first opened. And it's where the potholes. Oh my God, the pothole right there. The potholes were like craters. I mean, they were horrible. So we used to fill them in every year with dirt, grade it off, and then again in the spring, they just came back bigger and bigger. And I remember this older gentleman, they used to shop every Saturday. He comes walking in and he's like, I lost my car in your pothole. And we're like, what?
He wasn't kidding.
He wasn't kidding. He had like, I don't know what it was, this little car,
Oh, Pinto
or something, and his car literally was submerged in the pothole. So Lenny says, get in it, put it in neutral, and then Lenny just picks the car up. Yeah. Yeah.
He just couldn't get the back tires spinning enough to get out of the.
They were so bad. The paving was the best thing we ever did. Yeah, and then I was trying to reach back in my memory for other stories, and I don't think Lenny was here for that one. I think I was working. And a lady came in, and she asked for 2 pieces of pastrami. I'm like, okay. So I cut 2 pieces of pastrami, give it to her. She gets in her purse, takes out this 1 piece of bread. Were you there?
No, I heard.
Yeah.
No, you told the story.
Takes out this 1 piece of bread that was cut in half, so there's 2 halves, in a baggie. She puts her 2 pieces of pastrami in it, and then starts to eat her sandwich. I mean, just some of the weirdest things, you know.
Did she put it in her pocket on the way out?
No, she was eating it on the way out the door. And it was only 2 half pieces of bread. I'm like,
She didn't ask you for any condiments?
no, just yeah.
You can't make this stuff up.
It's just like
No, it's great.
one of our customers, not gonna say a name or nothing, but he's always a gentleman. He comes in and when we make him a sub, he's
Oh yeah.
right there at the counter. Well, customers, there could be a whole line behind them, and he's just eating the sub right there.
Yeah.
Does it every time, and I'm just like, that. Do I yell at him and tell him to move? His customers just watching him eat a sub, and we're just like, what the heck?
I also did forget to thank Jackie Stone, one of our workers for 20 years. Yeah.
She baked all those cookies back there, so you people better grab a handful.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hear her crap the next time she starts.
You're still gonna hear my crap.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we'll end up at the store and then I'll be eating them.
I want to know how many people in the audience.
Becky,
employees are-
I remember the time we talked about the lady that bought the girl staff.
Oh, Scriba Meats and put
X, everybody. Past, past, present. Anybody need an application for the future?
Yeah, and, Monica from Deanna, they were some of the 2 very first.
First.
Out of school. Yeah.
Yep.
And Lenny's boys, 2 of them are here. I bring them. All 3 are down here. These.
Stand up, boys.
Stand up, boys.
Yeah, I know, you guys noticed he's skinny, I'm not really sure about that. Don't exactly know.
You must be the most energetic.
Does anybody have any questions or any stories or comments?
I was just wondering if you could talk about a little bit about your experience as the girl, a little more, you know,
Yeah,
how you
it-
talk to us about.
Yeah, it was. it was rough. It was definitely rough. You know, back then, it just wasn't typical for a female meat cutter. So Lenny got asked all the time to cut the meat. I mean, there'd be times that he'd look at me and go, well, just cut it. And then I'm like, no, they don't want me to cut it. I'm a female. They don't want me. You know, people would walk in, just assume that Lenny's the owner and I was just a worker. It was difficult. You know, it took me mentally, you know, sometimes it was really tough, you know, not to be recognized as a meat cutter, as part owner.
And I would be equally as annoyed because I'd be doing something and she'd come and get me and I'd be like, you know how to cut that, go do it. The guy won't. I'd walk out and we'd be like, there's a meat cutter. I'd be like, God, come on, I got stuff to do. You know, so, you know, I felt bad. I would stick up for her as much as I could.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, in retrospect, it probably not so much anymore.
Yeah, not nowadays.
But I would have to say 6 years ago, maybe 5, it was still happening.
It happened shortly after I started. It was still.
Yeah, so it doesn't really happen as much anymore. People do assume that he is the owner because he's the big presence in the meat room, and I kind of blend in with all the other workers. I mean, it doesn't bother me as much. So.
Put on your super flat shoes and sign that says owner on
She
your
does a lot, and she does everything behind the scenes, the paperwork,
Yeah,
everything.
plus, you know, I'm quiet. I stand at the meat table. You know, I cut. I don't talk much. You know, he's the talker, the Facebook person, you know, he's the loud one in the room, you know. Sometimes it did come in handy, actually, with if it was a real pain in the ass customer that, you know, and didn't want me to help them, Lenny'd be like, oh my God, I hate them. And I'm like, well, you're the man, you know, so, I'd be like, no.
Yeah. Look who's the quiet one tonight, though. I know. I told her I was going to do this.
3 years. Yeah, I'm 52 and he'll be 55 tomorrow.
youngsters.
She had to tell me how old I was because I was telling everybody I was going to be 54.
It doesn't work that way.
Nah, they need to do it on purpose. I guess that's the sign of Social Security. Yeah, but anybody want to say anything? Are we good?
You got it.
In a public speaker, you both did well. Commented that you weren't.
Yeah, I started out a little rough, reading it too fast, but then got a little more comfortable.
Great job, and they knew you would.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming. Absolutely.
You didn't give us a choice. And he pays me to do this stuff.
And Monica, she was there from almost the very beginning, and her husband actually skinned deer for my dad quite a few years. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I remember when they had a ground chuck special going on, and we got really busy. We had no chuck to grind. I went in the cooler and grabbed one, opened it up, started slicing around the saw, and she turns around and looks at me and she goes, "What are you doing?" Somebody's got to do it. So from then on, I started using the saw.
Yeah.
Not myself, I use it.
Yeah, you started cutting meat at the table.
Yeah. $1.49 a pound back then.
Yeah, one of the,
99 cents a pound.
when it was on sale, I think, yeah. And one of the pictures in the album, and it's up there, I made out on the edge, and it says $1.49 a pound for ground chuck.
Yeah. Then there was one day that they couldn't make it to work because it was a blizzard out. My husband drove me there. I opened the store, worked all day by myself, and I was busy. They kept calling me, you okay? You okay? Great. Good job, we fishing.
So it's usually, what do I have? Okay, so Brandon, Chris, and the girls back and forth. So Bacon Tuesday, don't bitch about it. All right? Because there is one person that used to do Bacon Tuesday from the time that she got there at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning till the time we closed. She did it by herself, and we sold 100 pounds of bacon a week back then, just like we do now. And that's Deanna right there. She used to slice it, package it, do it. That was her job for the whole entire day. It was insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, how many years is that? The Tuesday's been Bacon Tuesday.
Yeah, so, do you, how long has it been? Did you said you?
Yeah, no, it was a long
A
time.
long time.
Still have bacon Tuesday?
Yeah, still Bacon Tuesday. That's just the day that we slice bacon. We go through about 100 pounds a week, and we always have. And it just seems to be the day that we say, okay, this is the main
The time
job.
with the cast or the time
Cut
before
bacon.
that?
But you both have all your fingers.
Mhm.
They almost didn't.
Yeah.
Remember that day?
Yeah, you jump back pretty fast.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, when it happens, you jump back
That,
fast.
you have to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Do the
Yeah,
rules and regulations change very much within the industry?
No, we still just leave the fingers in this. No, just,
No.
yes. One of the biggest ones I have to say, which looking back on it now, in my opinion, is so gross and disgusting.
I know what you're gonna say. We talked about this.
Yes, we did. When we opened in 1989 till someplace in the 90s?
Yeah,
maybe? Someplace in the 90s, you
I
did
think
not,
it was late 90s even.
yeah, you did not have to wear gloves to slice people's deli meat or any cooked food
I would wear
products.
them.
Me too. And you didn't have to wear them down or anything.
Yeah.
And to slice somebody's food and grab each one of the slices of ham with your hand and set it down and weigh it. Nobody gave two thoughts about it. Not
We're washing our hands a lot, Bob.
one thought at all. Us or the customer, nobody. Well, of course, then came the gloves and sanitary regulations with the USDA and the agro markets in New York State. And then we had to start wearing them.
Unless if
And
now, yeah, just still ask us about it.
now I look back on it, like making subs, slicing cooked products. I couldn't imagine not wearing one. I'd feel
But what I got was stupider than that.
I would
too,
feel
when they
weird.
came out, is that you could get done slicing something and still have the gloves on.
oh, touch money. That's what you're gonna say.
Yeah. You could
Yes.
touch the money, and you could go back doing what you were doing with the same gloves on. Money is the most filthiest thing in the world.
Yep. And
That was mind-boggling.
we don't, but you still can. It's I don't know.
It's the
Things don't make sense. So.
There's something to be said for that, though. We didn't have COVID.
He
had a solid immune system.
Well, you're funny.
So they come and inspect you.
Once a year, not too long ago. Yep, in fact, she's a very young, our newest inspector is a very young lady, and I'm trying to do my best to teach her. I mean, I'm not joking. I'm like being serious. I'm like teaching her and going, you know, this is something you didn't check. You should check this at other establishments, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going,
Yeah, a lot of the record books that we have to keep,
wow.
she doesn't even understand them. You know, doesn't. Yeah.
I was like, Jimmy, he had a tutor that was younger than him. Almost. Well, actually, she was a college student. He had to teach her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a few other examples of changing, different things like that. One I can remember actually was 2016. We used to take in bullhead. And a lot of people miss us being able to sell bullhead. Well, what happened is they'd go out bullhead fishing, and we always took them cleaned, and I would give, I think if I can remember, like $2.99 a pound cleaned to the person bringing them in, and then I would wind up selling them for like $4.99 a pound, enough to put a buck in our pocket, make people happy that can't get out and fish anymore. And it worked out great, and the person fishing could get enough money for the next 30 pack and some worms to go out the next night. Well, all of a sudden we wound up having, we're state inspector, but this was a federal inspector walked in. Because what they do is they will get samples of raw hamburger to do E. coli random testing. And he looks in the case and he says, "You can't sell those." I go, "Why can't I sell those?" And this is like, now we're at what, like?
I think 2000, at the paper, I think was 2014. And we were in like 2017 or 18.
Okay. And I turned and I go, "Since when?" And he tells me like 2014, and I go, "I'm just hearing of this now?" He goes, "Well, take them out, take them home, whatever you do, but you can't sell them anymore, blah, blah, blah." And I looked, I said, "Well, this information's important. You kind of should have, wouldn't you think our business would have gotten something in the mail?" Even then, I think they had just started email, all that kind of stuff. And the inspector just kind of looked at me, and he goes, just, you can't do it anymore.
What's the reason?
Okay. The reason is, actually, it's a good reason. Who asked that?
I had. What was
Is the waterway. And I can give you a great example. So everybody who's eaten bullhead, that kind of idea, they're good. And somebody could come in and say, "Oh, I caught them in the little ones, caught them in the creek down wherever, or Bright's Landing, wherever." And really had caught them in Lake Neowana.
Yeah.
So I am, in a sense, selling something that's contaminated. So there has to be waterway documentation, and you have to have certain licensing. Right now in New York State, I think there might be about 3 to 4 people that have that licensing in order to sell the perch that we sell, because we sell Lake Erie and Lake Ontario perch. For an example, that person has the USDA or the agro markets New York State licensing. They have to keep documentation, thorough documentation of where those fish came from, how they got to them, and every step of the way. And I mean, it really makes sense when I use that Lake Neowana thing. Going, yeah, I'm just taking.
So you just basically you could sell them if they were like farm raised.
Yes, or Canada. They are allowed to come from Canada over the border, and I can sell them, and they are wild caught. But they are still inspected in Canada to our standards to bring them over. But I won't do it. But just too much of a pain in the butt. There you go.
You gotta tell the story about the exotic meats.
Oh. Oh, yeah, because I think when I was here, you asked how it started and got into it. So the exotic started where this gentleman came in. He asked me to get in buffalo, and he promised that we wouldn't be stuck with it, that he would buy the buffalo. And so, and he did. He stuck to what he said. Then I would have other customers come in, buy it, and they asked us to get in elk and the venison, and then I think it went to like wild boar, and then somebody wanted alligator. Well, we were running out of room, so I didn't have where the freezer case is now. That used to be our beer cooler, so I was running out of room in the freezer cases, and so I had this idea that I wanted to do this addition. Plus, also we were getting diversified here in Oswego County. And people were looking for different items like cow feet, pig's feet, pig ears, tripe, all kinds of different things. And there was a business called No James in Syracuse that was selling all that stuff, and everybody would travel there, and they shut down. So I had this bright idea of this expansion and taking out the old beer cooler, and then we put in a fabricated one into the parking lot and knocked out that wall, and then part of that actually is a new freezer for us. And I didn't expect it to cost over $100,000, but it did. So Lenny looked at me, and I remember he's like, I don't know. He's like, I'm not really sure this is a good idea. And he goes, one thing that's good is when your idea fails, I'll be able to have all that room to do whatever I want.
I'm gonna work out for you.
Well,
Well, if you Google exotic meats,
We pop up like.
yeah, I think we're the only ones that pop up. I didn't realize that I was stumbling onto something. I didn't realize that we were the only people within 3 hours surrounding us that have all of this exotic meat and kangaroo and camel and python and all of this stuff.
Customers that made 3-hour trips
Yeah.
to us, or call ahead to make sure we have it.
Yeah.
Travel 3 hours.
Yeah, a couple Saturdays ago, a couple came from Buffalo just to stock up on all of that exotic stuff. Yeah,
We get customers from all countries.
yeah,
We probably had almost every country that as customers.
right.
Different
And-
people from different countries is like crazy how many.
Right.
Yeah, and it's cool to talk to them because they buy different things and they make different dishes, out of the different parts. I had somebody, it was a few weeks ago, come from Africa, and they were asking for fish. So we were showing them the fish we had, some of the fresh fish, the frozen fish, and she just kind of couldn't get her words together. So finally what I figured out was, she says, no, from Lake Ontario. And I'm like, well, I have some perch from Lake Ontario. And then she finally gets out, no, in my country, they go down, they fish, and then they go to the village and we buy the fish. So doesn't anybody fish in Lake Ontario and just bring you the whole fish? And I'm like, no, we can't really do that in the United States, So, just talking to different people and different cultures is interesting.
And you had the whole alligator in the cage?
Yeah, we had a whole alligator. That was,
Ostrich eggs.
yeah, ostrich eggs.
Is it stuff regulated like the fish?
I get all that from a middleman, so they actually have to deal with all the regulations. So when I get it, it's all USD inspected, it's all set, so.
Well, everybody's looking a little tired, so we can wrap this up if we like. That's.